And for a more in-depth discussion on North Korea's Olympics participation and more, we're joined by Shin Sang-hyuk, professor of Pan-Pacific International Studies at Kyunghee University. Good to see you again, Professor Shin.
Great to be here today.
So a large-scale military parade on the eve of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics hosted by South Korea. Why, after making efforts to show the world that it's a peace-loving country, by voluntarily participating in the Olympics?
Right. Well, we can interpret the meaning of the military parade in North Korea in several ways. Firstly, we can understand that the reason why they had the military parade is to send a message to USA and Japan and other countries that they did not give up their nuclear and missile programs. About this one, the Prime Minister Abe, after the meeting with the Vice President of the United States, Mr. Pence, he said that this is the proof showing that North Korea has still provocative measures. Provocative measures, North Korea is still alive. So certainly this is the main reason why North Korea had a military parade in such a kind of the thawing environment between the South and North Korea.
So they're trying to send its own message. Now, we're short of information about the parade, and we're still unable to verify what kind of military hardware were showcased. But could you tell us what kind of weaponry were likely presented and why?
Well, there are many so-called possible scenarios about the items of the arsenals, which were, during the military parade. Experts thought that ICBM could be showed during the parade because the ICBM could be the direct threat to the USA security along with the nuclear programs. But this time, I think North Korea seems to reduce the tension which could happen because of the military parade this time. They did not want to stimulate the USA or Japan too much because they need a time to complete their program. That definitely. So I think they do not want to use this opportunity to stimulate the USA and Japan, even though, as I already explained, they try to send a message. They still have the programs, nuclear and missile programs. So it has two phases. One is hot, very threatening message to North, USA and Japan and other countries. The message is that they just try to show some intention to control the speed and the speed of the development program for nuclear weapons and the missiles, which could be the direct threats to USA and other countries.
So North Korea is sending a message to the U.S., but it's also trying not to be too provocative.
Too much, yes.
Now, President Moon Jae-in has said that he will take this opportunity to build up inter-Korean talks and ultimately aim to denuclearize North Korea. But even though you said North Korea is trying not to be too provocative, a military parade on the eve of Olympics, it doesn't look so promising. It appears as though North Korea has no intention whatsoever to abandon its nuclear ambitions. Your thoughts?
Well, we have to wait and see, but North Korea has used every opportunity to make it clear about their stance about the nuclear programs and missile programs. Personally, I think that it is very difficult for us to expect the abandonment of the nuclear and the missile programs of North Korean government. And the one thing which I want to underline is that the USA government stance and policy toward North Korea. As we heard many times, USA government, particularly President Trump, has emphasized that without denuclearization of North Korea, there will be no peace talks. Those kind of American government stance toward North Korean nuclear and missile programs. Vice President Pence also said that without the nuclear denuclearization, there will be no peace talks. And at the meeting with Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan, he emphasized that he reaffirmed, along with Japanese government, their commitment to the policy of maximizing the pressure against North Korea through every possible measures. So it seems to be very contradictory. in between these two very different stance, I mean, between North Korea and USA and other countries, we have to find a way how to take a mediating role between two parties. Of course, the South Korean government has also empathized the eventual goal of the peace talk with the USA, I mean North Korea, is denuclearization of North Korea. But as we discussed already several times, there must be some slight differences in the stance between South Korean government and the USA and Japan.
Like you've mentioned, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence during his visit into Tokyo. From the statements made by Mr. Pence and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, we could see that, as you said, they reiterated their hardline North Korea policy. But were they also sending a message to South Korea?
Yes, somebody says that he just tried to, send a warning to South Korean government because they thought that South Korean government has conducted some progress, the dialogue on our own way. And as I said before, there must be some slight differences between USA government and the South Korean government stance on this issue. So the USA government, through every ways, they want to empathize that denuclearization is the first. So we can say that the Vice President Mike Pence tried to send such a kind of the message to South Korean government. And South Korean government has understood very well, though. But this is our own program, firstly. Of course, this can be an issue for every countries in the world because the UN has been deeply involved in dealing with the nuclear crisis, North Korean nuclear crisis. But definitely South Korean government should have to make every effort to persuade the USA and Japan in order to have a very efficient policy toward North Korea.
Now, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has arrived here in South Korea today, and he's scheduled to hold one-on-one with President Moon Jae-in. What topics do you think will likely take center stage?
Well, just after the meeting with Prime Minister of Japan, Mr. Abe, the USA government official came to visit to Japan along with the Vice President, the Pence. The highlight of this trip is security, not economic issues. So at the meeting with President Moon Jae-in, they will spend lots of time to discuss about security issues. North Korea's nuclear and the missile programs. Of course, if time is available, they will discuss about the Korea-USA FTA. But definitely, I think the first priority will be given on the security issues at the meeting between President Moon Jae-in and Vice President Mike Pence.
Now, North Korea surprised many around the world on Wednesday by announcing that its leader Kim Jong-un's influential sister Kim Yo-jong will make her way to South Korea for the Games. Now, as far as I know, she'll be the first member of the Kim family to ever visit South Korea, so the significance speaks for itself. But could you tell us more about who she is and the implications to her visit?
Yes, the father of Kim Jong-un was Kim Jong-il, right? Kim Jong-il had 4 wives, and then the Kim Jong-un is the offspring with his 3rd wife. And then with the Madame Ko, the wife of the Kim Jong-un, there were 2 sons and 1 girl. The first boy is the Kim Jong-chol. Actually, he is the person who did not have any interest in politics. Right. He loved music and rock and roll music or something like that. And Kim Jong-un is 2nd son, actually. As you know very well, he is the leader of North Korea at the moment. By the way, and Kim Jong-un and Kim Yo-jong, they attended to the elementary school in Switzerland together. And they are very close. It is reported that. And then she has taken various positions in the Communist Party in North Korea, but very rapidly she got promotion. And then it was reported that she is very close. That means that he is very influential to the Kim Jong-un. So her visit to South Korea, of course, for the participation in the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games. Maybe it is quite significant. Actually, we can understand that is a kind of the gesture to promote the friendship image to the global community. As you know very well, North Korea has been criticized by many countries because of their nuclear and missile programs. So to change those kind of image, Kim Jong-un and Kim Il-jung decided to participate in Pyeongchang Olympic Games. If I added something more, many leaders, political leaders, have used their family members. This time, the Ivanka, the daughter of the President of the United States, Mr. Trump, she is scheduled to participate in the closing ceremony. And then in this context, Kim Il-jung is scheduled to participate in the opening ceremony. So, many political leaders have used their family members to, change the image of their country or to give the friendship image to other countries.
Kim Il-jung is due to arrive in Seoul on Friday, so we'll be able to see reports pouring in about that. Now, one last question for you. Do you think there is already a gulf between Seoul and Washington? Because Seoul is getting quite flexible with the sanctions imposed on North Korea, and reports say that the United Nations is also reviewing to give an exemption to one of the North Korean delegation who will visit South Korea for the Olympics. Do you think?
Yes, there must be some uncomfortableness between two countries, and even North Korea just tried to divide South Korea from the United States. But I think we don't have to worry too much because both countries, Korea and USA, recognize the importance of the unity between two countries. Even between wives and husbands, there have been some up and downs, you know what I mean? I want to understand the current relations between two governments in this way. But one thing is clear, we cannot sit in idle. We have to keep on persuading the USA government, and USA government just try to also persuading their policy to South Korea. We have to open the channel with the USA government. That it will be very important, and I think that is the a kind of some stepping stone for the future relations between USA and Korea, I think.
Just one more question for you. Do you think President Moon Jae-in can be successful in playing the mediator during the Olympics between North Korea and the U.S.?
Our Vice President Mike Pence and then the Secretary of State, they did not rule out the possibility of the meetings during with the North Korean leaders during the Pyeongchang Olympic Games. So I think there must be some possibility that Mr. President, Moon Jae-in, can play some mediating role. But I think not. It cannot be very easy though, because that considering the stance which have been announced by both governments, USA government and North Korean government many times, there must be very, very big differences. Such as, say again, the USA government suggests that the denuclearization of North Korea is a kind of prerequisite condition for the peaceful talk. And the North Korea said that we will never ever give up our missile and the nuclear program. So the gaps are so big. So considering these are the reality facing us, well, it could be quite difficult for us to expect some dramatic change in the relations between two countries. That means that the role of the President Moon Jae-in this time could be quite limited, I think.
Tough challenges ahead.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor Shin, for your expertise today.
Yes, my pleasure.